I have 3 of the iPollo G1 Mini ASIC miners which mine the cryptocurrency Grin. 30 days ago, I switched one of my 3 miners from pool mining to solo mining. In this video, I'll share my 30-day results mining Grin solo and answer the question, is it more profitable to mine Grin solo or in a pool? I've done 2 previous videos on this channel covering mining Grin with the iPollo G1 Minis. I encourage you to check those out. I'll link those in the description below. Let's start off by defining what is solo mining, what is pool mining, and go through some of the advantages and disadvantages I see in each. Solo mining is when a single miner conducts and executes the mining process independently. If solo miners complete the entire mining process within the network, they are rewarded handsomely. Solo mining is highly dependent on the hardware hash power and the network's overall hash rate. Next, what is pool mining? Pool mining is when a group of crypto miners who contribute their computational power and resources over a network to enhance the chances of finding a block or competing crypto mining. Members of a mining pool combine their process power and aim to find the block at the fastest speed. When they successfully find the block, they receive rewards in the form of cryptocurrencies. The system then distributes the reward amount among the members as per their percentage of the contribution to that pool. The member receives a reward only when they show proof of work of transactions. Next, what are some of the advantages in solo mining? Well, first, there is a higher upside potential in solo mining because you are taking it to chance that you may be able to find blocks faster than you would if you were involved in a pool. Second, there's generally no fees associated with solo mining, whereas if you're involved in a mining pool, there's generally a fee involved, and it's generally about a 1% of your total earnings. And then the third advantage I see is there's generally no outages with solo mining because you're not involved with a pool, which sometimes can have an outage where the pool may be down for some time. Next, the disadvantages of solo mining. First disadvantage is inconsistent earnings. When you are mining solo, you do have very inconsistent periods of finding blocks, so you may go several days or even weeks between finding blocks, which can cause inconsistent results for someone who's mining. Second disadvantage is computational limitations. If you're contributing a very, very small percentage of the total hash rate on the network, there could be situations where you never find a block and you're just mining forever. One case in point would be if you've got a very small Bitcoin miner nowadays and you're trying to mine it solo and it's got a very, very small hash rate. It could be years or tens of years before you find a block, or you could never find a block, and all that computational resources that you're providing would never be rewarded. So therefore, you could potentially just be wasting electricity over that period of time and never being rewarded for it. Next, the advantages of pool mining. First, you have much more consistent earnings results with pool mining because you are contributing to a large pool that's contributing to the network. So you should see regular payouts more consistently compared to if you were doing solo mining. Next advantage is oftentimes when you're involved in a pool, there are multiple payout options. So for instance, I know for one of the pools I was mining Litecoin and Dogecoin, there was actually an option to be paid out in Bitcoin as opposed to Litecoin and Dogecoin. This isn't an option for all different pools. I know for my Grin pools, there is no option to be paid out in any other coins. So you're actually only allowed to be paid out in Grin. But that is sometimes an option with different pools where you can actually get paid out in a different cryptocurrency than the coin that you're actually mining. Next, the disadvantages of pool mining. First disadvantage is there is potential for denial of service, DOS attacks, or security flaws within the pool, which could expose your cryptocurrency miner to malicious actors. Second, there are pool fees generally when involved with pool mining. It's generally about 1% of your earnings go to the pool. So that is a fee associated with pool mining that's not generally associated with solo mining, and those fees can add up over time, causing your miner to be less profitable. And third, there's less potential upside when pool mining, just because you don't have that extra chance of luck involved with solo mining where you could hit it big and hit several blocks or hit a big block depending on which cryptocurrency you're mining. So you really do have much more consistent results. You don't have the upside, but you also don't have the potential downside that you may have with solo mining. So an analogy I like to use to think about the differences between solo mining and pool mining is playing the lottery. The lottery! You can think of solo mining like playing the lottery where you buy one ticket and you hope you'll win it alone and you win the big jackpot. Whereas pool mining and playing the lottery, that's similar to getting into a pool with your coworkers or friends to buy a whole bunch of lottery tickets together. In the pool! And that increases your percentage chance of winning the lottery, but you'd also get a lower payout because you'd be splitting that potential reward with all your friends evenly. So obviously there's pros and cons of both solo and pool mining, and you really have to weigh your current situation in terms of your miner that you're mining with, the cryptocurrency you're mining, and your overall appetite for risk. Next, let's look at the Grin mining difficulty according to 2miners.com. Currently, Grin mining difficulty is at 254. This is a 1-year chart of the mining difficulty. You can see mining difficulty is on a downtrend over the last year. So that is good for potential miners because the less difficult cryptocurrency becomes to mine, the more often that you'll potentially win a block and be rewarded. So you can see there was a sharp decrease in mining difficulty in late May of 2022, and then we saw an uptick here in September of 2022. And these decreases can largely be driven by miners either switching on and offline or switching between coins. If we look at the Grin network hash rate, that has stayed pretty consistent over the last year, but we have seen a recent spike in hash rate. But it's to be seen whether that's the start of a new trend or if we're going to fall back into this range again. So I pulled this data together from 2miners.com, and it shows the current solo and pool mining data for Grin. So currently for solo mining, the hash rate for Grin is 588 GPS versus pool of just over 2,000 GPS. We have 112 solo miners and 545 pool miners. So as a percentage, solo is making up 23% of the hash rate and 70% of the miners online, and pool is making up 77% of the hash rate and 83% of the miners online. So the big takeaway I see from this is you can see this variation in these percentages here, whereas the total number of miners is a smaller percentage versus the total hash rate on solo. So that leads me to believe that there are several higher powered miners that have chosen to switch to solo mining, and they're contributing essentially a higher hash rate as a percentage of the total hash rate within 2miners.com. Next, let's look at my results for solo mining for the past month. So the current Grin price today on November 28th is 0.03924 cents per Grin. So over the last 30 days, solo mining with my one iPollo G1 Mini, I've found 7 Grin blocks. So that total amount of Grin that I've found is 414 Grin, valuing at $16.26. For pool mining, I do have 2 iPollo G1 Minis. I've divided my numbers here by 2, so it's just showing one iPollo G1 Mini for comparison purposes. So you can see here my pool mining, I've only earned 351 Grin per miner. So leading to total earnings for the month of $13.78. Now there is a 1% pool fee within this pool amount, so that is also contributing to the lower pool earnings here. So based on my initial results for this first 30 days, I am seeing higher earnings for my solo mining versus my pool mining. So just for transparency, here is my 2miners dashboard for my solo Grin miner. I have 1 miner currently online. I've earned 7 blocks in the last 30 days, which agrees to the spreadsheet that we just reviewed. So that equates to 413 Grin, value currently today at just over $16. One thing I do want to note is asicminervalue.com, the current profitability that they've got listed for the iPollo G1 Mini. I am seeing much different results on here than what I've seen in both my pool and my solo mining. You can see here their total mining income per month, they're calculating at $9.67. And that's versus the $13.78 I've seen with my pool miner in the last 30 days. So I believe they are understating the profitability of these iPollo G1 mini miners on their website here. They're showing them as currently unprofitable, but at my current electric rate of 12 cents per kilowatt hour, I am finding these miners to still be profitable. So keep that in mind, that these websites that are showing the profitability of miners are not always completely up to date or accurate. So I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should purchase the iPollo G1 Mini. That's completely up to you and your situation. If you go down here to the bottom, they do have different vendors currently listed that sell the iPollo G1 Mini. I purchased mine from nhash.net. And that was back in December of 2021. I know I paid quite a bit more. I think I paid around $500 per miner, so they're currently pricing it at $298. I was very happy with them, so I had no problem with them, but you can shop around with these different miners. They may have still a Black Friday sale going on. You might be able to pick up this miner relatively cheap if you're so interested. So what am I going to do now that I know the mining results after these 30 days? Well, I'm planning on switching my other two iPollo G1 minis from pool mining over to solo mining. I think the potential upside is worth it in my book, and it's also nice to save the 1% pool fee going forward. I also want to let you know that I've been actively selling my Grin. Just over 2 weeks ago, I sold my bag of just over 9,100 Grin and exchanged it for Bitcoin. I actually followed my own tutorial video that I created several months ago to sell my Grin, and it worked perfectly. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below if you're interested in selling your Grin as well. But when I sold, I made sure to take the Bitcoin that I exchanged my Grin for off of TradeOgre and put it in my own cold storage wallet. You really can't trust any exchange right now, given what's happened over the last several months, not even an exchange run by Shrek.
And stay it!
So why did I sell? Well, the chart of Grin looks like it's on a slow path towards zero. It's really not a coin I want to bet on heavily in the long run, and I'd rather bet on Bitcoin. But don't get me wrong, it is fun to speculate mining Grin, and I will continue to do so as long as it stays profitable. So how are you mining Grin? Solo? In a pool? Or not at all? Let me know in the comments section below. Remember to hit that like button if you haven't already done so, and check out this video over here.